Hello, and welcome to the Youngfolk Knits podcast. This is episode 13.
Keep it softly spoken, with no strings tying you to me.
Welcome to the Youngfolk Knits podcast. My name is Casey, and I'm the maker here at Youngfolk Knits. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me again. If you're a new viewer, this is a podcast mainly about knitting, some sewing, different crafts that take my fancy at the moment. Also, I am a beekeeper, and we live on a small farm in Arkansas with my family and our chickens and different animals, gardens, and you might see some of that on here as well. Today is March 4th, and I can't believe we're already getting into springtime. This week, it has been mainly in the 70s. We've got up to 80. So I'm starting some seeds. We've got the tractor out and tilled up a few of our gardens. We have a few different plots, and I'm just really excited to be getting to spend time out in our garden and out in the sunshine. It just really helps my mood. There's a lot of sobering things happening on the world scene, and it can be a lot to process, but hopefully we can spend a few minutes together chatting about something that makes us happy. For me, one of those things is knitting, and I have a lot to share with you guys today about what I've been up to. So let's start with what I'm wearing. I know you guys didn't believe that it would ever actually happen. I didn't think so either. But a year later, I have finally finished my Junction sweater. So this is a pattern by Andrea Mowry, and it is knit up in Biches, and I use the Le Petit lamb's wool instead of the cashmere blend to save money. And I also used Spincycle dyed in the wool in the color Burning Sensation. So I used 2 balls of the Burning Sensation, and I made the size 5 in this sweater. And then I bought 5 balls of the Biches in the dark gray color. And I didn't think I was going to have to dip into the 5th ball, but I did end up having to for the end of the sweater, because I had made it a little bit more cropped and it wasn't long enough. So when I went back to lengthen it, I did need a little bit of that 5th ball to get the extra length. So let me go back to the beginning and tell you a little bit about my journey with this sweater. Every year, La Mercerie, which is a yarn shop online, but they are opening up a brick and mortar store this weekend, I believe, is the grand opening. And then Wax and Wool, which is a candle store. The 2 business owners of the 2 respective shops, they became Instagram friends, and so they decided to knit a sweater together, and that led to a yearly knit along called the Instagram or Friends. Wow, I can't remember the name of the knit along at this moment, but I'll put it on the screen. Something about friends and Instagram. Anyway, there's a yearly knit along, and they knit one of Andrea Mowry's patterns, and she actually designs a pattern every year now for the knit along. This was last year's pattern, which is the Junction sweater. It's a round yoke sweater that has some brioche and then color work throughout. But I started the sweater, and I wanted to finish in time for the knit along to end. It's a 2 month knit along. And so I knew it was too short, but I finished it because I wanted to finish at the end of the knit along. And I tried to block the length out, and it wasn't happening. This wool is very different than, something with alpaca or silk or anything like that, where you can really, or superwash wool even, where you can really pull length out of it, and it does it on its own anyway whenever you soak it. This wool has a lot of recovery to it, so it springs right back to its shape, which is nice, but there just wasn't blocking a whole lot of extra length out of it. So I decided to rip out the ribbing and reinsert my needles and knit it a little bit longer. So I think I added 2 inches in length, and then did the ribbing. And I was very pleased with it, and I liked it so much that I was not super happy with how one arm, the color in it, it faded completely different than the other. So much difference that it was noticeable big time. It wasn't just a little bit of color difference, and it kind of bothered me, which, there's that debate about Spincycle. Some people really like to color manage it. Some people like to let it do its thing. Well, I decided to rip back the sleeve. It was only part way. I didn't have to rip it back all the way. And I had so much Spincycle left that I decided to try to color manage it and match the other sleeve. And I'm really glad I did, because I love this sweater so much. Let me stand up. Let me see if you can. So this is the yoke. This is the brioche. And here's the ombre color fading. Now I'm going to talk a little bit in a minute about this puckering, but first I just want to show you the colors. So then it fades. And then there's this ribbing, 2x2 ribbing at the bottom. And then the sleeves. And I just really love it. The Spincycle was very fun to knit with. I think this was the first project I've used Spincycle in. I have since then, but I think this was maybe the first one I had ever used it. Trying to remember. It's been a minute. So I knit the size 5, and I don't know if it's because of the brioche or what exactly, but there's a lot of puckering here. And in brioche, you've got a lot of stretch. And I tried really hard when I blocked it not to stretch the brioche because it was already doing this beforehand. So I'm a little disappointed with that, and I'm not sure what's causing it exactly. So I have talked on here many times about how loose of a knitter I am, and that is the case for almost everything. I am very, very much a way above gauge on every project I've ever knit, except color work. When it comes to stranded color work, I definitely have a tendency to tighten up big time. So I decided to go up a size for my color work. So you knit your ribbing, that's one size needle. You go up like one size for the brioche, and then you're supposed to go up another size for the color work. Well, I did my ribbing, I did one size up for brioche, and then I went up 2 sizes for color work. So I knit the color work sweater in a size 6. So I think my ribbing was a size 3, my brioche was a size 4. I believe my brioche was either a 4 or a 5. I think it was a 4. And then my color work was a 6. And then on the arms, I use 9-inch circulars, and she tells you to go ahead and go up to a size 6 on the 9-inch circulars, because small circumference knitting is always going to be tighter, especially with color work. But I just stayed at a 6, and I think it turned out great. The tension is really nice, but the 6 seemed to be the perfect size, whether it was small circumference or in the round. And I can't imagine if I would not have gone up to a 6 what the fabric would have been like, because this seems perfect. It's very flowy, it's very light, but I think if I would have done a 5, that it would have been very tight and puckered a little bit. So I'm happy with how it turned out. Let me see if I can show you some of my floats without flashing you. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good the way it is. Anyway, I'm not sure if because I went, I have such jumps in needle sizes, maybe I should have gone down a size for the brioche, because it's so, I don't know. I'm not sure. It also may be the fact that Andrea Mowry, in the larger sizes on her yoke patterns, she's had a few complaints. I know that the increases, they're different. Like, it fits really well for the smaller sizes, but the bigger sizes that you go up, they're not as even. And sometimes the yoke gets too big compared to the rest of the sweater. And I think that might have been what happened with this sweater. I know that she just re-released her Shifty sweater, which is also a round yoke. Oh, I'm gonna sneeze. Excuse me. So I know that she just re-released her Shifty sweater pattern, and she said that she had really enhanced and improved her yoke design. So that may be some of the issue with this sweater, but I still love it enough that I've been wearing it a lot. I really like to wear it with I've got a Roscoe dress that I have sewn out of Blackbird fabrics in Canada, and I really like this over that. But I love it with anything because it's not hot, but I can tell it would trap air nicely. But that light fingering is just, I don't know, I'm in love with this. The yarn is definitely a woolly, I hesitate to use the word rustic, but it feels like a woolly wool, and it's not itchy at all. I'm wearing this, I have nothing underneath this at all. It's against the skin, and I'm just very pleased with it. I am definitely going to be making more items out of this yarn. I have some for socks, and I also have a sweater's quantity. I think I have 4 or 5 hanks of the fingering weight, the lamb's wool with the cashmere blend in it, and I've got a cardigan in mind that I'm wanting to make at some point. So I'm excited now that I know how how much I enjoy the feel of the yarn. I'm excited to make that. I had so many things I wanted to talk about with this sweater. I'm sure I'm forgetting a lot of them, but bottom line, I love it. Love the colors. Love to wear it. Feeling fine. Oh, so if someone asks, you know, how you're doing, or says, my goodness, you're looking fine, you might hear the expression, feeling finer than a frog hair split 4 ways. Obviously, frogs don't have hair, so very, you know, some very fine hair on those frogs. You can't see them. Split 4 ways means you're feeling very fine. Anyway, so yeah, we say crazy stuff. So let's roll on into what I've been working on. All right, so Vivian, ooh, I just forgot her last name. I'll put it on the screen. She has some beautiful sewing patterns that I have been eyeing. I've got fabric to make one of her dresses, the orchard dress, I believe it's called. So anyway, I really enjoy following her on Instagram, and then I saw that she was going to release this big squishy half fisherman's rib sweater, and I was so excited. I wanted to try and test it, but I have just had so much on the needles that was not even a possibility. So I was very excited when it was released this past weekend. Was it a week ago? I think it was, because I had just finished my Junction. I have just recently finished a few things off my needles, and so I was feeling like I was more in a place to cast it on. And I had in my stash some Osprey from Quince & Co. And I had got the yarn to make a nurtured sweater, and I started the nurtured sweater, and I had knit a lot of a sleeve, and I just wasn't feeling it at the time. So I ripped it out, and I've been saving the yarn, and whenever I saw the pattern come out, I thought that yarn would be perfect for it. So she is using an Aran weight yarn, but whenever you look at the meterage for 100 grams or 50 grams compared to other Aran weight yarn, I don't know. To me, it's more of a heavy worsted. It's not a thick Aran. Whereas Osprey is very thick, on the verge of a chunky yarn. I don't know if you can, well, here's a new ball of it. It's a very thick, heavy yarn. It's very soft though. I really, really like it. It's non-superwash. This is a heather, one of their heather colors. I'll put it on the screen what color it is. So this is worked in half fisherman's rib, and you start off by casting on one shoulder. You do some neck shaping, then you cast on the other shoulder, you do some neck shaping, and then you join it, and then you work the back. Once you've worked the back to a certain point, then you cast on your front shoulder, and you will do neck shaping and then cast on your other front shoulder and connect them. And I like to pick up and knit my neck stitches immediately as soon as possible, because I feel like it affects, with any top down sweater, the wonderful thing about it is you can try it on as you go, and I feel like having the neck already done makes a big difference in the way it fits with trying it on. So whenever I was checking my gauge, I actually met gauge before blocking what it was supposed to be after blocking. And like I had mentioned, this yarn is a heavier yarn, and I'm a loose knitter. But I decided I did not want to go down a lot of needle sizes, because the fabric was already, I mean, it's not stiff, but it's in no way flowy. That may change after blocking, but I did not want to do a fabric any tighter than this. So instead, this sweater has a lot of positive ease, and I normally knit either a 1X or 2X. Mostly a 2X because I don't like my knitted things tight at all. I decided to knit an XL in this. It has a lot of positive ease, plus my gauge is a little bit bigger than what's called for. And I think that that's gonna be perfect. It's an oversized fit. The shoulders, you know, it's like a drop shoulder. It comes down, and then you pick up for the sleeves and knit those. So it's, to me, all of that makes it a little bit more customizable. I can make the length what I need it to be. So I think this is gonna be like a super comfy, almost like a sweatshirt top sweater. I'm very excited for it. It's gonna be way too hot to wear it when I finish it, but that's okay. It will be all ready for when it gets cold again next year. And my very sweet mother bought me this bag, which is made by Delightful Works. And we have a bag like this that is being given away as one of the prizes for the Bees Are Friends knit along, which is still going strong. You have the rest of March, and we're knitting the Humblebee Shawl by Fiber Tales, and that's being hosted by Becky from A Hand Knit Letter and myself. And so we started the knit along at the first day of January, and it will run through the last day of March. So if you want to join us, there's still time. I think it's a pretty quick shawl to knit. It's DK weight, and it's addictive, and it's fun, and there's beautiful, beautiful projects on Instagram. So be sure and check that out. But she saw me talking about this bag that we were giving away, and so she ordered me one since I'm a beekeeper and I love bees, and I think it's so pretty. So thank you, Mom. So as if I didn't have enough to knit on already, Lerka from Fiber Tales has been posting some pictures on Instagram of a sweater that she has been working on. And as soon as she posted her first picture of it, I knew I wanted to knit it. This is it right here. I'll try to post a picture from Instagram. I do not know the correct pronunciation, but it is Vildnis, and I'm not sure how you say that. Vildnis, the Vildnis sweater. And it is a fingering weight sweater that is textured, and it is a round yoke, and I just think it's gorgeous. I absolutely love it. So I had some leftover yarn from the Insta Friends knit along. Oh, it just came to me. The name of the knit along I was trying to remember earlier. The Insta Friends knit along. This year we knit the Stria cardigan by Andrea Mowry, and this was one of my contrast colors. It is Ampersand fibers, Caslon fingering in the color Oat 1. And I had almost a full ball left, and I loved the color. I knew that's what I wanted to knit the sweater out of. So I went ahead and cast it on, and I am, well, I'll tell you a sad story. This is a tale of someone who did not read all of the instructions before I started. Always do that, always. So the instructions for the pattern said to cast on, and I was looking at the picture, and it's hard to tell for sure if it was a folded neckline. In a couple of the pictures it looked like it was maybe a tubular cast on or just a regular cast on. Some of the pictures I was like, oh, is that a folded neckline? I just glanced down and I didn't read it thoroughly, and it didn't ever use the word folded neckline. So I just quickly cast on with a Italian cast on or tubular cast on, and I knit away my 2.5 inches or a little more than 2.5 inches, I guess, of ribbing. And then I see that it says to do a few special techniques, which is something I have not done before whenever doing a folded neckline. But yes, you are doing a folded neckline. And So I was like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I spent that time doing a tubular cast on, and now I'm gonna fold the neck down. I don't even know how that's gonna work, but I didn't want to rip it out and redo all the ribbing, so I gave it a shot. And I went ahead and folded it down and knit into that first round of the tube with the round I was on, and it was not going to work at all. It was a definite no. The way that it grafted it together was not okay. And it caused my rose to lean, and I'm not sure what caused that. It may have been because I was using some yarn that I had already used a little bit of. So I ripped it all out and I restarted the right way, and I decided to pull from the center of the ball instead, since I hadn't used that yarn yet. And I hate doing a center pull because I always get massive amounts of yarn vomit. But the outside was already used, and I think it had messed the twist up a little bit, and it was leaning, the ribbing was leaning, and I didn't want to mess with it. So center pull it is. Also, I have to show you, I'm using this beautiful stitch marker from Elijah at Horse Feather Fiber Arts. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh, I love her flowers. Anyway, I'm excited to start the yoke. There's herringbone stitch, it looks like. I haven't read all the way through the pattern yet, but some beautiful texture. And I decided to go ahead and order some more of the oak colorway from La Mercerie, and that way I can use some of what is in my stash, even though technically I'm having to buy some more of it. But I think it's gonna be really nice together. So everything else I'm working on, I have not made enough progress to merit showing again at this time. So I'll save those projects until I have more to show you. My Tanya, my mushroom socks, my iris hats, just languishing, poor things. They haven't been getting much attention. But I will say this. Knitting is something that we do as a hobby. It's something that we do to find joy in, to relax, to occupy our minds, our hands. It's something that we are choosing to do in our free time, not one of the many things that we have to do. So with that being said, while I do try really hard to finish projects that I start, with life the way it is today, I don't think that something we do for recreation needs to be something we don't enjoy. So if I'm not feeling it at the moment on a certain project, I don't really feel guilty for not working on it. And I don't think we should feel guilty for not working on it. Or maybe I just want to make myself feel better. I don't know. But anyway, let's move on to acquisitions / dream knitting, things I'm hoping to start in the future. I was very excited because the Forage Journal, she always has beautiful mushroom themed pictures on Instagram, and she has these adorable progress keepers that she sells, and she contacted me and offered to send me some that I had picked out from her. And this one is called Mountain Trails, and I think it is adorable. So there's a backpack, there's a mountain scene, and there's a snake, which is very apropos for where we live. We have lots of snakes. But look at that backpack and mountain. Just adorable. I love it. Then I'm obsessed with mushrooms, And she also, and there's one other that goes with this, a leaf, but I've actually got it on something right now and I should have taken it off to show you. But look at these sweet mushrooms. So I wanted to show you these first. I had already taken the leaf off, but I'm actually going to stick one of these mushrooms on my Emerson pullover at where I'm at today. So the next time I podcast, you guys will have a better idea of how far I've gotten. And I really like to use a progress keeper because it gives me a more accurate idea of how much I'm able to knit in a day. And that way I know, okay, I need to do this much, or more realistically when I'm gonna be done, or how much to expect. How much to reasonably expect to finish in a certain amount of time, especially with test knitting. I think it's important to keep track of where I'm at. Anyway, you guys definitely should check out the forage journal. Thank you. I also ordered a couple of stitch markers from Elijah from Horse Feather Fiber Arts. One of them, I already showed you guys, it was on my test knit, my Vildnis sweater. This is another one. Isn't that beautiful? I love it. So this is a progress keeper, and this is a stitch marker, and it's, oh, and these be beautiful earrings too, I think. But I have to say, the sweetest thing that I got was from my mother, because she had these gluten-free knitting cookies made for me. And I'm almost out. She got me quite a few. Aren't they adorable? And she got me bees. So I only have one of each left. She got me quite a few of the gluten-free iced cookies. And I love them. She is the sweetest mom ever. So last time I was going to show y'all, I had some Wonderfluff from Knit Picks that I haven't really, I was going to make something different with it, but I saw a sweater recently that is made out of Newtiden. Is that how you say it? Held double. And no, it's not. It's the Plotulopi unspun held double. And I have this as the main color and this for the contrasting color, and it's an all over colorwork sweater. So I was going to cast this on, but I got distracted with a test knit. So hopefully I'll be able to make this soon, as soon as I finish that. Or I went stash diving as well, and I have some Foxy Lady singles from the Farmer's Daughter Fibers, which I got last year when they had that big 20% off sale. And I have it in their creamy color base. I can't remember the name of it right now. But I had bought that for a Lazy Daisy camisole crop. What's it called? And then I have some scrap yarn that I was going to embroider the daisies on. And so I bought that last year and I never did make it. And then I saw on Stressknits podcast, she is actually going to be hosting a knit along, which may have already started, where you make a tank or a bralette or something like that, summery tops. And I think she's making a Lazy Daisy crop at the moment. Anyway, I'm thinking about casting on one of those since I already have the yarn, and it might be fun to join in that knit along. So I'm pondering what I'm going to do next. I have a feeling that after I finish this test knit, it's going to be so warm here in Arkansas that a big, fluffy, bulky weight colorwork sweater is not going to be something I'm interested in working on. So I'll probably go for the tank. We'll see. I I think that's pretty much all I have to share this week. Thank you so much for joining me. You can find me on Instagram at youngfolk.knits and on Ravelry under Kaciapple. I hope you enjoy this wonderful weather. And if you enjoy watching basketball, all I have to say is woo pig suey. Razorback fans, you know what I'm talking about. All right, y'all. Happy knitting. It's bee day. We haven't been in the beehive since probably November. And we're opening them up to start feeding sugar water today.